Greg, I think it's great to have you on the show tonight as we're getting into this whole debate about our region. Our neighbours look like they're taking some vaccinations, branded vaccinations from China. Where's the Foreign Minister on this, Maurice Payne? Where's the Department of Foreign Affairs? And tell us how this should concern us at home, that this is occurring on our doorstep.
Well, Peter, it's great to be with you. And I must say, as usual, the Foreign Minister is in hiding. I mean, I don't know why. You know, she does one media performance every 6 years or something. I mean, it's just bizarre. Why isn't the Foreign Minister talking to us about this, the most important issue in our relations with Papua New Guinea in years? The West, you know, civilisations fail cumulatively, but there are points where you can see it all turning to mush. And there is no doubt that China can do things much more quickly than the West can do things. What a spectacular mess the European Union has made of its own vaccine production and its own vaccine distribution. Why are we so slow? How come it's taken CSL so long? How can it be that the acting chief medical officer goes to a national briefing at a moment when the whole nation is obsessed with the vaccine rollout and doesn't know how many vaccines CSL has made? I mean, this is a kind of there's a Keystone Cops quality to the presentation of this. If I was a Papua New Guinean Prime Minister, I'd take a vaccine from anywhere I could get it. And of course, the Chinese are showing they can do things that we can't. Now, that doesn't mean our cause is lost in the Pacific, but it's a bad day for us.
Yeah, and look, it's a bad day for the PM too, because I know that he has rightly earned a lot of plaudits last year, but he will be judged on the efficacy of this rollout. And there's some, you know, opportunistic premiers and deputy premiers, as we saw Stephen Miles in Queensland. Even if it is a state responsibility at some aspects of these rollouts, it'll all be turned towards the federal government. So I am surprised, like you, that they are not front and centre driving this, and certainly the Foreign Minister is not more visible. What about the story about China and Russia too, Greg, working to undermine the rollout in Western countries? And they're doing it via social media pushes. Activity that's been picked up by the Alliance for Securing Democracy shows that Chinese, Russian and Iranian diplomats have been spreading a lot of disinformation through a whole lot of networks aimed at discrediting Western governments and undermining public faith in vaccines. I mean, we talk about cybersecurity, you know, business to business or government threats, but this is a social media threat, but they're going straight to our people to undermine governments. This is the way it's all happening now, isn't it?
Well, you're absolutely right, Peter. I mean, this is a very sinister development, really. So I'm a big free speech person. I think the solution to bad speech is good speech. The solution to hate speech is sensible speech. But it is a unique situation where hostile, totalitarian and authoritarian powers can now directly use our freedom of speech within our society to spread lies and augment conspiracy theories. Now, some of our own people don't help this. So Donald Trump apparently got vaccinated in January, but because the crazy anti-vaxxers in the United States are part of his base, he hasn't wanted to say anything about it because that would encourage people to get vaccines. So he of course, despite impressions, is not an idiot, so he's going to get vaccinated himself. But then he's not going to tell anyone about it because lots of idiots are in his camp. And Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping are very happy to augment the idiot camp in Western democracies. Now, I think we are going through another big civilisational dialogue in the West about how do we regulate social media. And it's not a question of limiting free speech. It's a question of making social media and the internet subject to the rule of law like everywhere else is. If you say something in a broadcast, Peter, or I write it in a newspaper, there are all kinds of legal consequences. But there are no legal consequences for what happens on the net. And one of the problems with that is that our enemies exploit that.
Yeah, and they, you know this as well as I do, but they've got a whole teams of people, divisions of armies now dedicated to cyber warfare, and we seem to be a bit flat-footed in our responses on that.